You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. As some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon the Dam, coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of Kingsguard, the Andros' Path. So anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Let's get this wild thing started. Okay. Normally, it would have been up to a servant to wake you up, usually at your father's behest. Glad to see that you were awake and on time today. Walking towards you at a brisk pace was the butler, the head of the castle servants. He had his usual scowl on his face, exhausted eyes, and flat expression that reminded you far too much of your father. And just like your father, you never got along well with him either. Yes, I just so happened to have a good night's sleep, so I'm well rested for the day. Good. After all, you and I have a busy schedule today, and not having to rouse you from your slumber saves me time that could be better spent elsewhere. It's already quite the chore having to keep the servants in line, so watching over you just adds to my list of undertakings. You wanted to sneer at him, but remained calm and composed. You have my apologies. Now, I shouldn't have to remind you, but seeing how I am here, I might as well go over your schedule today. The High Priest will be visiting the castle today to guide you through the ablution. The ablution? What the fuck? Then, around noon, we will have the rehearsal for tomorrow's coronation so that it remains fresh in your mind. Not to mention your other duties, meeting with the council. He started to zone out as he droned on. He was even more of a chatterbox than Meister Corello. I do hope you were listening to what I just said. Yeah, I heard you. Is there anything else? No. So long as you follow your duties to a T and cause no trouble, that is all that matters. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must get back to work. There's too much to do, not enough time, and a lack of capable hands to see it all get done. Your aunt and uncle have already been seated in the dining hall and are currently awaiting your arrival. Make sure that you do not keep them waiting. I take it father is waiting as well. No, he won't be joining you. I'm sure you can understand that your father also has his kingly responsibilities to attend to that keep him very busy. Of course. I shall take my leave, your highness. Good day. He gave his most somewhat courteous bow and left. God, what a blowhard, talking to me in such a way. Mark my words, old man, the first thing I do as king is hire new staff. Breakfast was much more enjoyable this time around. Any time spent with Esther and Marilyn was always pleasant. You apologized immensely for not being able to join them at dinner time and thanked them graciously for their present. You told them while I didn't speak to you, it really was a beautiful blade. It's all right. We assumed we wouldn't have many opportunities to meet with you, given how busy you must be with preparing for the coronation. But you really do like the present. But you really do like the present we pick out for you? Of course, it's beautiful. Even the armory doesn't have a blade quite like this. I haven't yet had the opportunity to show it to Leandros, but I'm sure he would be jealous. That's great to hear. Makes the time we took to find it truly worthwhile. You know what? You should give it a name. That's a great idea! Oh, okay. That's a great idea! All the heroes have names for their swords. Well, I don't think I will ever be considered a hero, but didn't this blade already have a name? As far as we learned, no it didn't. If it did, it might have been long lost or under another language that may otherwise be extinct. I might try asking Corello then. He's rather knowledgeable about history and might be able to dig up something. But in the meantime, I'll think of one. Please let us know what it is when you do. For now, let's eat before this wonderful food gets cold. Before you knew it, you were stuffed and didn't want to budge an inch. I must say, the second course was absolutely perfect. The way the ham melted in your mouth with the combination of Comté. It was nice to have fruits like strawberries and raspberries once again. They're difficult to find during our travels, even in towns and ports. They're all grown right in the castle garden. If you're ever hungry, you can just head out there and pick them. I used to get in a lot of trouble for filling up on fruits in the garden. I can see why. I would hardly be able to contain myself. It was nice to be able to spend time with your family. You also helped take your mind off the events of yesterday and the coming coronation tomorrow. You couldn't remember having a meal this nice since the last time they were here. It was short-lived, though. The doors to the dining room were open once again, and Koshiro appeared. He rushed over to your side and knelt down beside you as he did for your father the previous day. He leaned in close to whisper in your ear, "It's for real estate." Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and drink some water real quick. Y'all, give me a second. Okay. Delicious. I'm so sorry to disturb you, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but I'm here to let you know that the High Priest has arrived. I'll be taking you with me so we can conduct the ablution. You glance back over at your company. Don't worry about us, dearie. We know it's a bit busy right now. Go on and do what you have to do. We were going to have a nice walk through the city, so we'll have something to do. You turned back over, but noticed Kashiro was already waiting for you by the door. Well then, I'll see you both later. Make sure to check out Folston Street. They opened up a few new shops that I've been wanting to see. Will do. With that, you left the table and headed out. You followed Kashiro down the halls to the furthest parts of the castle. Kashiro remained silent as he moved on, but it only unnerved you. You questioned just what Kashiro might have known. Back in the garden when you spoke with Leandros, you were sure that the two of you were alone. But that never stopped Kashiro from discovering things that you had planned to keep a secret in the past. He always seemed to know everything that went on in the castle, in the same way Corello knew the names of all the books in the library. He started to lag behind, and Kashiro stopped in his tracks and turned around. Was there something you wanted to say? He must have also been a mind reader as well. I'm sorry. Well, I get the feeling that you know that I know about what you know. I guess that's rather confusing, huh? I assumed that you were talking about the assassination. Yeah. Leandros has already told me, and the king as well. I was really hoping you would have kept quiet about that. You won't do anything, right? Depends on what you mean by doing anything. Leandros was worried that you would run off and attempt to resolve this yourself. Is it so bad that I want to keep my family safe with my own two hands? Not when you do it so recklessly. You have nothing to worry about. The trip took you past your father's study. As you passed by the door, you caught the sound of grumbling within. You found another lead, is that right? Who? It sounded like your father's voice and Leandros' as well. Kashiro was a bit ahead of you, so you slowed down and put your ear to the door. Gaius? That contentious fucker, are you sure it's him? There's no doubt about it. He was last seen somewhere in Falsamir's Landing. Still prowling around like a damn devil. I won't let him near here. He leaned in closer, trying to peek through the keyhole to get a better look inside. You must be extra diligent, then. The nobles will be in danger as well. Ensure double security checks at the gates, and if you can, have your men do a thorough sweep through the city. If he thinks I have forgotten what he did to Ella. Don't eavesdrop! Kashiro pulled you away from the door and dragged you away from the room. I get the feeling that you enjoy getting into more trouble. It's not eavesdropping if everyone can hear. Besides, I think they were talking about the assassination. We will have a chance to talk more about that later. We need to go. You took one last look at the door before moving on. I don't know why we were in such a hurry to get my ablution done. I could just take my own bath and get it over with. Within my clan, we have a similar tradition. We use purified water to expel the tainted thoughts and sins that demons impart upon our minds and bodies. I've heard that many places in Farharan and Brahm have their own cleansing rituals. I'm not really a superstitious sort of person, but if it's tradition, who am I to deny? So, where are we going anyway? To the catacombs. What? Why there? I thought you already knew. Well, the only thing down there is an underground pond. That is where you will be cleansed. And those waters? They expect me to get clean in that stagnant cesspool? Where else would it have been? Second, y'all. It is water time. There we go. At the church where everyone else gets it done. They're not keeping me here because of the assassination, are they? From what I'm told, this water is supposed to be special. Like, how? That is all I was told. I don't imagine they will be bathing you in anything dirty, though, so you shouldn't need to worry about that. This will be my first time witnessing it as well, so other than what the king has told me, I don't know too much about it. The southeast wing was the least used area of the castle. It was also the one place you subconsciously avoided for numerous reasons. Only 2 other times had you bothered to travel down there. The first time was when you wandered the halls as a young boy. A ball you were playing with slipped out of your grasp and fell down a dark stairwell into the abyss below. It was this very place you were headed to now. At the time, it took a lot of bravery to descend that stairwell, but after taking a few steps, you ran back to your parents, crying about monsters taking your toy. You didn't return except with your mother, or rather your father, or perhaps Leandros. You couldn't quite remember it very well, but they went with you to retrieve your toy. It always seemed like such a dreary place. The 2 of you eventually reached the entrance to the catacombs and stopped at the top of the stairs. Other than just a few lit torches leading the descent, it was well beyond dark. This place still gives me the creeps, even after all these years. You have nothing to fear. I will be going with you. Hey, now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm scared or anything. Just more concerned for the unknown. I thought you weren't superstitious. I may be rational when it comes to the paranormal, but a fear of the dark runs on a subconscious level that affects our ability to perceive what we believe is safe. I'm afraid as I wander down these halls because of the possibility of something happening, even if I try to convince myself otherwise. So you've read Dr. Einbeck's book of the subconscious mind. That's quite a heavy read for someone like you to endure. Someone like me? Who do you take me for? Quite honestly, I should be surprised that you found time to read it when your father has you running around all hours of the day. Unfortunately, I haven't. I simply knew about the base concept he was trying to relay to scholars before he was chased out of Azite. Well, it was discovered that he did some Sorry, y'all. Well, it was discovered that he did some cruel experiments on humans, so that might have helped to do it. It was a good read, even if it was intensely confusing. It took me quite a number of days to swallow it. But now, whenever I confront something new or something I'm uncertain about, I can face it with confidence. Or at least that's what I aspire to do. I'm not gonna let the dark stop me. Well, lead the way. Didn't you... I can't see as well in the darkness as you. What if I trip and fall? I don't think waiting for me to go first is going to make any difference. Kashiro took the first steps down into the darkness, and you trailed behind him, probably a bit too close. Your mind wandered back to the names that your father had spoken of. Curiosity got the better of you. The name Gaius was familiar, though you couldn't quite put a finger on it. What really concerned you was that he mentioned your mother's name, Ella. He never talked about her, even when you asked. You knew Leandros had known her for years before you were born, but he never talked about it either. If it wasn't for her portrait in the gallery, you might have forgotten what she looked like. Ah! Lost in thought, you tripped, but Kashiro was fast enough to catch you. Thank you! I would have eaten bricks there. You tried to laugh it off, but Kashiro's eyes showed intense worry. Are you sure you're all right? You stared into his eyes for a bit longer than you expected. After the fox helped you back up, he quickly let go of you. Yeah, I'll be a bit more careful. Let's continue. Kashiro grabbed your hand and was more careful about making sure you could get down without incident. After what seemed like 1,000 steps, you finally reached the bottom. It felt a bit warmer down here to your surprise, similar to that of tepid mist wafting out of the bathroom and licking your skin. The moisture in the air was thick, and your clothes became damp and heavy. The likely culprit was the underground pool found down here. It was a sacred place that many believe that the god and goddess themselves once bathed in long ago during Havena's founding. 1 second, y'all. It is water time.
It's done.
Oh, okay. Can you give me 3 minutes? Okay. That's quicker than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, I have no concept of time.
Oh, okay. It was a sacred place that many believe that the god and goddess themselves... Okay, I already read that. As one of the 5 sites in the world that became revered as places of worship and sacred power through visitation by the gods. One could be found in the Valley of Death, a crossroad between the 3 nations, and 2 more were in Brahm. Farharan had a final resting place atop a mountain of ice and snow, though it and the Valley of Death were never visited because of the dangerous trek one would have to make to see them. Of course, it seemed more like a folktale that became far too inflated with reverence and exaltation. As you looked on ahead, a man waited at the end of the room, likely the high priest. Along the sides of the room were his apostles, all with hoods up and over their heads covering their faces. Only a few torches were lit, so even if they didn't have their hoods on, you doubted you could have recognized any of their features. It actually kind of frightened you. After learning of the assassination, this whole scene just looked like a trap to you, or that you were being welcomed into some cult. You edged slightly closer to Kashiro. At the end of the room was a set of large wooden doors. Beautifully carved into the wood was the depiction of what you assumed to be the god and goddess of the fight at the Valley of Death. 2 apostles opened the doors for you to enter the inner sanctum, and you walked forward with unease. Hold. Clothes. The high priest stopped you at the door, and an apostle beside you held out a hand. The apostle looked to be the same as the others in the room, only his robe was a bit more decorated. The high priest still looked the same as always. He was dressed elegantly in white clothing that set him apart from everyone else, almost to the point of flaunting off the church's wealth, power, and authority even more so than the royal line did. Why do you need my clothes? You will not bring tainted garments near the sacred waters. I've never heard of such a thing. You will not be allowed to enter until you first get changed. Undress. We have something more suitable. Seriously, who let this pervert into our kingdom? It was dark, and most of the apostles in the room had occupied the outer edges, so maybe they wouldn't see you. Kashiro had seemed to vanish, though. Not that you wanted him to see you or anything, but if something happened to you down here, it was going to be on his head. Begrudgingly, you removed your clothes. 2 apostles stepped forward and draped a very fine silk tunic over you. The god and goddess themselves each wore a robe similar to these before bathing. You may now enter. You didn't even bother with a retort as you walked through the set of doors. Oh, that's beautiful. The sound of the door closing behind you echoed magnificently in the chamber. It actually frightened you a little when the bit of the ceiling crumbled down. I better not get buried alive in this decrepit place. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there and go eat. I am hungry, I've worked a long day, and I am ready to go have a nice dinner with my mate. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!